السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters, today I wanted to give an important reminder about Silat al-Rahim, or the joining of kinship. So brothers and sisters, to begin, we know the shaitan is very deceptive. And by that deception, he knows where to strike to cause the most damage. So one of those areas where he strikes is at our relationships. All kinds of relationships that we have, whether it's between parent and child, or between spouses, or between siblings, or between each other. Because as we know, brothers and sisters, that if we have weak relationships with each other, then that means it is one factor that will weaken our ummah, because the ummah is made up of relationships. And conversely, brothers and sisters, if we have strong relationships with each other, whether we're relatives or not, inshallah, this will be one factor which will contribute to a strong, united ummah. Brothers and sisters, it is fairly common that we have issues amongst our relatives. The shaitan is always trying to stir up trouble amongst each other, and especially our relatives. Everyone, I think, has had some experience, maybe not everyone, but many, let's say, have had experiences with problems among their relatives. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, it could be that a relative is not behaving properly or the way we would like them to behave with us. And sometimes we must admit, brothers and sisters, perhaps we're human beings, maybe we're not treating our relatives the way they should be treated. So the scholars advise, brothers and sisters, when it comes to matters like these, we have to really focus and remind ourselves to actually look at ourselves first. Because in these types of matters, it is very easy to think of someone else. It's very easy to bring to mind when we talk about Silat al-Rahim. It's very easy to bring to mind, yes, I have such and such relative who didn't treat me well. Or such and such relative did something to me that I didn't like. Or such and such relative who doesn't communicate with me, doesn't talk to me anymore. But we have to focus on ourselves. Make sure about ourselves first. The tendency is that we look everywhere else in these matters except ourselves. So let us check ourselves first. Now, what is the definition of Silat al-Rahim? The definition, brothers and sisters, is joining the ties of kinship, or joining and having good relations with our relatives. Imam al-Nawawi said, joining the ties of kinship, Silat al-Rahim, means to behave well with our relatives as the situation demands. Sometimes this is done by giving sadaqah or spending on them. And at other times it could be by helping them, serving them, or visiting them, or greeting them with the salam, or any such matter. Anything that is related to maintaining good ties between our relatives. Brothers and sisters, this is actually one of the greatest acts of obedience towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the hukm, as we'll go over, is that it is wajib, it is obligatory, it is compulsory to maintain good ties with our relatives. Qati'atul rahim is the opposite. Cutting the relationship is the opposite, meaning not helping our relatives when they need help, not visiting them, not calling them, not greeting them, not being nice to them, maybe ignoring them, etc., etc., and the list goes on. Exact opposite. And we'll go over the ruling about that, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we ask ourselves, do we have relatives that maybe don't talk to us, maybe don't treat us well? Maybe they're estranged, maybe they've been unfair to us, or they really don't care about us unless they need us. Maybe we've experienced this, maybe we've not, but I think many of us have. Or do we have relatives who, we don't call, we don't visit, we're too busy maybe, whatever the reason might be? Or do we have relatives maybe that we had a good relationship, but one thing happened, just one thing happened. Maybe some disagreement or argument, maybe instigated by the shaitan, and then we cut them off permanently, or they cut us off permanently. So we want to go over, is this the way we should be towards our relatives? Or maybe we do not, or our relatives don't associate with us out of some sort of jealousy. Maybe we have something they do not, or the other way around. And brothers and sisters, the list goes on and on. Should they or should we cut off our relationships over envy and jealousy? Another point to consider and keep in mind, does our spouse, do they encourage us to maintain good relations, the Silah, or do they discourage us? Are they one factor of encouraging or discouraging maintaining good relations? So with those brief words of introduction, I wanted to go into the next point about the importance of Silat al-Rahim. First of all, brothers and sisters, it's an order. We just read it. We just went over it. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and fear Allah through whom you demand your mutual rights. Meaning, we ask relatives, ask us for things. Maybe it's help. And we're required to fulfill their rights. And we ask for our rights from our relatives. And we expect them to fulfill those rights. So this is an order to join relations and maintain them in a good way. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ وَيَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ وَيَخَافُونَ سُوءَ الْحِسَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the characteristics of those who will have the everlasting Jannah. He says about one characteristic is those who join that which Allah has commanded to be joined. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to is that they are good to their relatives and they do not sever that bond with their relatives. And they fear their Lord and dread the terrible reckoning. In a hadith now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also emphasized the importance. He said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyasil rahimah." He said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him maintain the ties of kinship, the good ties of kinship. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tied belief in Allah and belief in the last day. Those are very important, of paramount importance. And with those paramount important matters, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has tied maintaining good relations. So therefore, we can gather from this that maintaining good relationships with our relatives is of paramount importance. Let us look at the opposite. What are the consequences of not maintaining Silat al-Rahim? Not maintaining good relations. This is, of course, qati'at rahim, which is cutting off the relations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ يَنْقُضُونَ عَهْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مِيثَاقِهِ وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلْ وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ لَعْنَةُ وَلَهُمْ سُوءُ الدَّارِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and those who break the covenant of Allah after its ratification and sever that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded to be joined, meaning they sever the bond of kinship and they are not good to their relatives, and they work mischief in the land, on them is the curse, and for them is the unhappy home, meaning, of course, the hellfire. So what's the ruling? What's the hukm of qati'ah? What's the hukm? What's the ruling? The ruling is, brothers and sisters, it's haram. Haram, meaning, of course, it's sinful. We know that. But actually, it's one of the kaba'ir, one of the major sins. Qadi Iyad, he said, there is no difference. There is no difference that in general, joining the ties of kinship is wajib, and breaking them is a kabira, a major sin. Brothers and sisters, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made this matter so clear in so few words, how serious this matter is. He said simply, لا يدخل الجنة قاطع, that the one who severs the family ties will not enter al-Jannah. Another thing about the seriousness, brothers and sisters, that good deeds are not accepted. And the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is lost if the ties of kinship are severed. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, on every Thursday in the evening of Friday, deeds of humans, of people, are presented to Allah. Allah's mercy will not descend on people among whom there is one who severs or breaks the ties of kinship. We have a story from the time of Abu Hurairah that a young man, he went to attend the weekly halaqah of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, and there was an opening announcement which stopped him. So the opening announcement of the halaqah was, if anyone sitting here has cut the ties of kinship, done qati'atu rahim, he should leave. So the young man, he remembered that he had an aunt living in that town, and he was not talking to her. He was not on speaking terms for whatever reason. So the young man actually quietly left the halaqah and went straight to his aunt's home, and he apologized and asked her for forgiveness. The aunt, she accepted the apology, alhamdulillah, but she asked, what made you change? You were cutting me off, what made you change? So he mentioned what happened, and she said she was curious. She wanted to know the reason. Said, out of all of the major sins, why was this announcement made? Why did Abu Hurairah radhiallahu anh make this announcement? So when he went back and asked, Abu Hurairah explained that he heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that our deeds are presented to Allah every Thursday night, and anyone who has severed the family ties has all his good deeds rejected. So Abu Hurairah did not want any such person sitting in his halaqah, which was held on that same night, Thursday night, for fear that it could deprive the entire gathering, the entire halaqah, of blessings. So brothers and sisters, another important narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah created the universe, and when He had finished, the Rahim, the kinship itself, stood up and said to Allah, هذا مقام العائذ عائذ من القطيعة. This is the standing up of one, meaning the Rahim, is standing up and saying, who seeks your refuge, your protection from being cut off. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied saying, نعم أما ترضون أن أصل من وصلك وأقطع من قطعك. Yes, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied to the Rahim and said, yes, would it please you if I were to take care of those who take care of you and cut off those who cut you off? And the Rahim said, Bala, yes, of course. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَذَاكِ لَكَ, so that will be for you. Brothers and sisters, I wanted to talk about the true meaning of Silah. True meaning of Silah. Is it Silah that if one of our relatives is kind to us, so we then are kind to them? Meaning they give us a gift. When they give us a gift, we give them a gift back. When they call us, then we call them. If they keep visiting us on a regular basis, therefore, we visit them. Is this Silah? Indeed, this is Silah. This is one level of Silah. But this is more like, brothers and sisters, responding in kind. Responding in kind. But what would be if we want the real essence of Silah, and we want the higher reward of Silah, and we want to do more in terms of Silah, how would that be? This is related to, how do you join something that's not broken? If everything is good, nobody's cutting you off, then how do you join it? It's already joined. So what's the real essence? What's the if we want to really do Silah at a big level, what would that be? That would be when our relatives cut us off, yet we go and we join the relations with them. They don't talk to us. Either they're too busy, or they cut us off because there's nothing to be gained from us for them, or they cut us off because they're angry. Whatever the case is, we still go and we join the relations. That's called joining. If there's nothing to join, if it's not broken, what are we joining? So the real essence of Silah is to actually look for those opportunities to join and actually join it. Because Rasulullah ﷺ said, ليس الواصل بالمكافئ ولكن هو الذي إذا قطعت رحمه وصلها. He said, the one who maintains or joins the kinship, the ties of kinship, is not the one who is kind to them if they are kind to him. Rather, the one who joins the ties of kinship is the one who, if his relatives cut him off, he joins the ties of kinship. This is the real essence of Silah. So let us strive to do that. In another example, a man came to Rasulullah ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, I have relatives with whom I try to keep in touch, but they cut me off. I treat them well, but they abuse me. I am patient and kind towards them, but they insult me. So Rasulullah ﷺ said, if you are as you say, then it is as if you are putting hot ashes in their mouths. Allah will continue to support you as long as you continue to do that. Allah will continue to support this man as long as he continues to do what he's saying. His relatives are cutting him off, but he is trying to be kind to them. Imam al-Nawawi, he explained about hot ashes. There's two interpretations. One is, that it's a metaphor for the pain his relatives will feel as if they're eating hot ashes. And the other interpretation, brothers and sisters, is that it is an expression expressing that how ashamed those relatives should feel and how ashamed they are or should be of how they're treating this relative of theirs who's trying so hard to maintain good relations. Brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous, so generous. He rewards us for following His commands. We're obliged to follow His commands. We have to do it. Yet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us reward for following those commands and gives us even more. So what's the benefits of making Silah? What are the benefits of making Silah? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man ahabba an yubsata lahu fi rizqihi wa an yunsa'a lahu fi atharihi falyasil rahimah." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever would like his rizq to be increased and his life to be extended should maintain good ties of kinship. He should be good to his relatives. This is the real formula, brothers and sisters. We are trying to increase our rizq by chasing after the dunya. Sometimes we get so caught up. We think the strategy of increased rizq is to make the dunya our total priority. I remind myself, all of us together, let us not fall into this trap of shaitan. This is not the correct strategy according to many ahadith. This will actually not work. The right strategy of increasing our rizq, one of them is given right here in the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. and we maintain and we accept the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be true. So increasing rizq, brothers and sisters, is something we are all striving for. We're working so hard for. So if we want that, all we have to do is be good to our relatives. An increase of rizq, I think, is very clear, but the one that needs more explanation is the extension of the lifetime. We may be wondering, does this really mean extension of lifetime? Meaning we're going to live longer if we're good to our relatives just for that? This is something that, fine, we work hard, we think our work hard is going to be, giving us more rizq. Okay? But we remind ourselves this is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're only going to get that much. But how could it be possible? How could I actually extend my life by being good to my relatives? So some explanations, the scholars have about 4 interpretations of what this means. Some scholars say that this person who is good to their relatives will be given more strength, more stamina in their body. So their lifetime will be extended in the sense that if they have more stamina, they'll be able to do more with their lifetimes. So in that sense, their lifetime is being extended. So these scholars are saying it's not really like years being added on or days or whatever being added on. Other scholars say that this person will be given barakah in their life. Barakah. So because of the barakah in their life, once again, they will be able to do more good deeds in that time, and therefore it will be as if their lifetime has been extended. Other scholars say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause that person who's been good to their relatives to be remembered for a long time after their death in a good way. So in that sense, it will be like, because they're being remembered, it will be a kind of a metaphor for the lifetime to have been extended. Other scholars say, brothers and sisters, the 4th opinion is that the increase in the length of their lifetime will be for real, literally, days, months, years, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills will be added to their lifetimes. So which one of these is correct? It might be that all of them are correct. The most correct opinion, brothers and sisters, is good news for all of us, that the most correct opinion is the last one. That actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase our lifetime in reality, whatever He wills. Extend our life in the dunya, so that we may use it wisely and do even more good deeds. This is great news, brothers and sisters. So the opposite must be true as well. That if we cut off the relations, the scholars say, that this will lead to a decrease in rizq and a decrease in one's lifetime. So brothers and sisters, these are the 2 most precious, priceless things that we're wanting so much. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us such an easy way to achieve that. Brothers and sisters, we wonder sometimes why we cut off our relatives, or why our relatives cut us off. As we see, sometimes if we reflect and later on time goes by, maybe our emotions cool down, whatever it might have been caused by, we realize sometimes it's petty issues. This is the deception of shaitan. Causes problems among relatives over petty issues. Maybe it's jealousy or envy. One of them, they bought some new whatever. Relatives become jealous, they don't want to talk to them anymore. Or they're making more money, got better jobs. So out of jealousy, they don't want to talk to them. Or it could be us. Materialistic issues. So we leave with a reminder here. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the earth will throw out pieces of its liver. Columns of gold and silver will come out. And a thief will come and say, "For this my hands were amputated." Columns, not just a little bit of gold and silver. Columns, huge columns. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how big. And the thief will say, on that day, for this my hand is so worthless, something so worthless, for this I got my hand amputated. The murderer will come and say, for this I killed, just for this worthless stuff. And the one who severed the ties of kinship will come and say, for this I severed the ties of kinship. Then they will leave it, all three will leave it without taking anything of it. Meaning it's so worthless that, and they will regret that they did this just for these petty things. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, just a few more reminders. One is, brothers and sisters, that our children inherit what the children inherit what their parents do. So the children will inherit their parents' habits sometimes. So if they see the parents not being good to their relatives, then those children will emulate their parents, will not see any value in their own relatives. So we have to be careful if we want to set a good example for our children. Brothers and sisters, if we have relatives who have cut relations with us, let us take this as an opportunity, good news. We should be thanking Allah, not feeling depressed or unhappy about that. We should be thanking Allah that we have a chance to join the relations, that we can go to them and try to join those relations and take this huge reward that we went over. If they had not cut us off, how would we join those relations again? So brothers and sisters, let us commit to mend and join. Let us take the initiative. Let us not be too proud. Even we didn't do anything, let's say. Let's say we didn't do anything to cut off. Just they're not talking to us for whatever reason. So many reasons we went over. Let us join them anyway. Let us join them anyway, even if we're not at fault. And even if they're at fault. Let us try to take this opportunity. Brothers and sisters, I know it's a little over time, but I guess because of the circumstances we have a little flexibility. And brothers and sisters who have to go, please feel free to do so. And you can listen to the rest if you want, because inshallah it's being recorded. I just wanted to take this opportunity because of, Ramadan just went by. A few reminders because it's important. One is actually just maybe one or two, that maybe some of you missed some of your fasting for one reason or another, let's say a few days or something like that. So the concern I have a little bit is I am worried that some people are thinking, some brothers and sisters are thinking that if they miss some fasts, okay, that they have an option to either make up or to give some kafara, the fidyah. I am worried that there's some misunderstanding in this regards because of the way people are asking questions and things like that. So I want to clarify, brothers and sisters, that if you've missed some fasting, or actually let me try to go over the rule that will help remember, because I don't want it to be that some people who are required to make up some missed fasting, they've just paid some fidyah, paid some money, and they think that's it, okay? So the rule is that if you've missed some fasting due to a temporary reason, like you had to travel for a few days, so you decided not to fast. Or let's say you were quite sick, that to the point you couldn't fast maybe had a very severe flu, okay, too weak, so you had to take off, 3-4 days of fasting. If there's a temporary situation, then the obligation is only one option, and that is to make up the fasting, because it's a temporary situation. Even if you missed all the fasting of Ramadan, let's say you had an urgent surgery before Ramadan and the doctor said that you cannot fast because you have to recover, otherwise you won't recover properly, and you have to take this medicine, otherwise you will get an infection from the surgery, and you cannot fast the entire month of Ramadan, but you'll be fine in a few months. Okay? This is also a temporary situation. Although that person missed the entire month of Ramadan. There is only one option in a temporary situation. That is to make up the fasting. Make up the fasting. So the question is, what's Fidyah then? So the Fidyah is, expiation for those who have a permanent situation or a very long-term situation. And because it's long-term or permanent, it just wouldn't make sense for them to make up fasting. If they can't fast now and their situation is permanent, how are they going to make it up? So an example is somebody who has a chronic illness, that's long-term. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa. But it's long-term that prevents them from fasting. They're going to be harmed if they fast. So it's expected, because it's chronic and there's no cure for it, then it just doesn't make sense that they would fast later. Or another example is an elderly person, they've reached a certain age, okay, they can't fast anymore. If they try fasting, they're going to faint, they're going to hurt themselves, they're going to harm themselves. So the following Ramadan or later, they're not getting any younger or any stronger. So Fidyah is only for those who are in this type of situation, permanent or long-term. So it's either one or the other. So a person who has a temporary situation and they miss some fasting or even all of Ramadan, but it's temporary, when they return from their travel or they recover from their illness or whatever the temporary situation is, menstruation, okay, they will make up the fasting because they're able to. That situation, that excuse has ended. So I wanted to mention this now, because if somebody just thought that they can pay Fidyah and they have a temporary situation, they paid it and that's it, they think they're done. So because that's a debt, the fasting is a debt that must be made up as soon as possible. So just wanted to take that opportunity to clarify that, inshallah. I might as well mention something, it won't take long. Brothers and sisters, actually, we're still getting fitrah as of a few days ago. So just a reminder that the fitrah is due before the Salatul Eid. Maybe there's a mistranslation or a misunderstanding that, it's not the case that you have to pay the fitrah so close to the Salatul Eid. Maybe that's why people our brothers and sisters are missing the deadline and then having to send it after. If it's after the Salatul Eid, it cannot be counted as fitrah, but it's true, it still has to be paid. It's still a debt. But it will not be counted as fitrah. So if we want it to be counted as Zakat al-Fitr, wanted to count as Zakat al-Fitr, it should be paid before the Salatul Eid, and many scholars say that it can be paid anywhere in the month of Ramadan. And in fact, it's due. It's due on the night of Eid. So the last day of Ramadan at Maghrib time, when the first of Shawwal starts, Maghrib time, it becomes due at that time. Now it becomes a debt on the heads. So please, brothers and sisters, it's being sent in. So please be advised that in the future, have it in before the deadline which the latest is, and it's not supposed to be kept so long. It's not supposed to, that's why I say maybe there's a mistranslation or misunderstanding. You don't delay it purposely until close to the Salatul Eid. Okay? It should be paid earlier than that, and that would prevent us from maybe missing the deadline. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to these few words. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين وعلى عبادك الصالحين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم ثبتنا على الإسلام اللهم نور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون عباد الله اذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروا يغفر لكم واقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون واقم الصلاة. Once again, brothers and sisters who are following, please be reminded to pray your Salatul Dhuhr 4 rak'ah, inshallah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استوت راسه الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين ولن يؤخر الله نفسا إذا جاء أجلها والله خبير بما تعملون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله